Hello and welcome to another video. I'm guessing you've had moments where you're out with your camera and you look at the scene in front of you and you instantly think that would make a good photo, but you don't really know why. And when that feeling translates into a good photo, that's great. The problem is, most of the time, we don't know how to replicate that. And we've all been there. We are all guilty at some point of not stopping to ask or work out what actually caused that feeling in the first place. We just react to it. Sometimes the photo works and sometimes it doesn't. So in this video, I want to show you the specific visual things in a scene that reliably create that inspired moment. The thing that made you stop and look. Because I call them compositional triggers. And once you understand what those triggers are, you stop guessing. By the end of the video, you'll be able to recognize these triggers instantly and use them as a starting point for strong, intentional compositions instead of just hoping that it all works out later. And if you stick around to the end, the final trigger I'll talk about was a real penny dropping moment for me. It completely changed how I think about composition, and it might do the same for you as well. So the first compositional trigger is geometry and lines. So here's a few finished examples of what I'm talking about. But what I don't want to do in this video is to take a load of pre-existing photos like these and then just reverse engineer them. That doesn't help you to create original photos in your environment and in situations that crop up randomly. So this video is deliberately different. I want to start before the photo is taken, at the point where inspiration first grabs you. They're the visual cues in a scene that create that initial spark before you even think about the composition. So let's go through a few of these. So if we look at this photograph here, the compositional trigger that created that inspired moment were those blue and red diagonal lines. So I had to show that off in some way. So I zoomed right in, I cut the edges off the building, and then I straightened up all those lines. Having those straight lines are absolutely crucial to the image. If you see this version here, you can see how jarring it is. When you're out there taking the photo, you kind of see that in your mind's eye. You see those very straight lines. If I look at this image here, you've got these wooden timbers that create those lines, and that's what inspired me to take the photo. That was my compositional trigger. So this first image that I took, I thought it'd be nice to get the roof in and that road in to provide a bit of context, but it just looks a bit messy. You've got this horrible shadow bottom right. So what I tried to do then was to cut out the road and the roof and home in on those lines. And again, this one hasn't worked either. I've still got that shadow on the bottom right. So I just recomposed and I got this final finished image. It's not a spectacular image, it's not meant to be spectacular, but it is a compositionally correct one where I've responded to an inspired moment, a moment of inspiration triggered by that geometry and those lines. Again, if we look at this one, very graphic, very geometric, lots of straight lines, but you've also got the randomness and chaos of nature in there as well. A very striking image. But again, within that, I've had a little moment of inspiration triggered by geometry and lines. And if we just take this area here and zoom in, I got this. So that's really refining the wider angle shot, but really homing in on that geometry and those lines. Again, that being the compositional trigger, which created the inspired moment. And I've got some really very simple shots here of some local architecture. But the important thing is to get those lines absolutely straight. So you want lots of right angles, and they have to go straight vertical or straight horizontal. You don't want them at funny angles. But again, it's those geometry and those lines that create the inspired moment. I would say that leading lines are the strongest of the compositional triggers overall, and they're kind of related to geometry and lines as well. So here's a whole collection of photographs that employ leading lines, and as you can very clearly see, they are lines in a scene that naturally pull the eye into the image. And when you see them, the visual effect is immediate. The eye has no choice but to follow them, and that's why they act as a compositional trigger. You don't have to look for them. You will just see them, and when you see them, you will have an inspired moment, a feeling that there is a photo there. They also create a really strong sense of depth and perspective, and help to create a very three-dimensional feel. So let's just have a look at some of these. So here's a really simple one to start off with. We've got this pier that goes out into the distance, and we've got hundreds, well not hundreds, but we've got many of these leading lines that are created by these slats of wood that go into the distance. And then we've got the sides and the railings all pointing to the building at the end. If we look at this one again was an instant intuitive feeling that there was a photo there, because all of those lines point roughly into the distance there. And where they all converge, where they all meet in the distance, that's the vanishing point. And all of these kind of leading line pictures have vanishing points. And so that kind of becomes the subject, because that's where the viewer's eye will end up. And that kind of knowledge when you're taking the photo is really important for the composition. This one, I love photos like this. It's so busy, it shouldn't work. But it does, because you've got these leading lines, this road that's reflecting light from the cloudy skies that draws you down that road into the photo. And it isn't a photo that you would expect to work. But thanks to those leading lines, and that's such a powerful visual effect there, pulling you in. This one, a nice soft photo taken at dusk. And again, those leading lines from that ploughed field draw you into the photo and towards the centre. And if you carry them on beyond the horizon, you'll get a vanishing point somewhere in the centre of the frame. And that's where the eye will naturally go to. Here, you're drawn off to the left. Whatever it is that's drawing you in starts off really big in the foreground and ends up really small in the background. So it's a really strong visual effect of being dragged into that image thanks to that leading line. This is about stumbling across scenes like this and understanding, if you like, what it is that's triggering your moment of inspiration. Layers is one of the most reliable ways in a scene that can create a feeling of depth. And that feeling is usually an inspired moment where you think, I bet there's a photo there. It will be a series of layers that is creating that feeling. So foreground elements feel stronger and more detailed, whilst distant elements become lighter and softer. And that gradual fading creates an emotional response. And that response is the trigger telling you that this is worth photographing. And once you recognise the layering effect, the job is then to isolate it. Anything that doesn't support the layers needs to be removed from the composition. Each layer should have a clear outline, and each one will probably feel lighter and softer than the one before it. So you don't create the layers. You simply decide how much of each layer to include, using focal length and framing to simplify the scene. Scale is created by placing something small against something large, and the visual contrast will be, well, very often immediate and powerful. So scale isn't a rule or a technique, it's a trigger that tells you why the scene caught your attention. And then once you recognise scale, the job is to amplify it. Including a small recognisable element, often a person, gives the viewer something familiar to measure the size against. Sometimes you can remove the sky to increase that sense of scale, and other times you may want to include it deliberately. And the decision should always come from that moment of inspiration. What feels right in your gut? It should not come from a rule. So before we move on to the final point I want to make in this video, which was a real penny dropping moment for me, I'd just like to remind you that if you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. And if you really want to, then please give the video a like and feel free to drop a comment below just to let me know what you think so far. And if you want to go deeper, then just scan in this QR code to join my newsletter. Plus, check out the links below for my complete composition course, which includes assignments and personal feedback and a private space where you can connect with me and other students. So just check out all of that in the description below. Okay, so now on to the final section, which had a real impact on my photography, and it concerns people depicted in the landscape. Adding a person or animal to a landscape fundamentally changes that photograph. This was a big penny dropping moment for me, because as soon as a human or animal appears in the frame, your eye will always go to them, even if they're depicted quite small, because once you notice them, your eye will forevermore go to that person or animal in that photo. And it's instinctive, because we're hardwired to notice living things, so they create a very strong gravitational pull in the image. And because of that, once a person is visible and recognisable, they often become the subject, at least for the viewer, regardless of whether you, the photographer, intended that or not. And this is very similar to the effects in portraits, where we go straight to the eyes in a portrait. But in a much wider landscape photo, a person or animal will have a very similar effect. And when all of this works, the person in the photo anchors the viewer's eye, and from there the eye naturally explores the rest of the landscape without any jarring. So this is just something that I've learned along the way, but I think it's a really useful thing to have in your sort of composition armory, and a really useful piece of knowledge that you can now deploy whenever you're out there taking landscape photos. So the important thing to understand is that none of this is about reverse engineering other people's photos. It's about recognizing the visual triggers in front of you that create that instinctive moment, the moment you think that this would make a good photo. The 5 compositional triggers that I've talked about here aren't the only triggers that exist. There are others, but these are the big ones, the most common and the most reliable. And if you want to take this further, I've got a short 14-minute video that shows you how to intuitively compose your images using this exact approach. It pulls all of this together and shows you how to apply it to any scene that you find yourself in. And that's when all of this really comes together.